What is the American experiment? In the late 1700s, there was a group of men who had an idea that men could organize differently than they had before, that we didn't need to be ruled by people based on bloodlines or dictatorship, but that people, if given the chance to associate with one another voluntarily, have a bottom-up, decentralized structure to our society, where the individual themselves had the most power. Principles of individual liberty, voluntary association, these were revolutionary ideas for their time, and the experiment had begun. These principles of individual liberty, voluntary association, equal rights, rule of law, and most importantly, a government that is limited only to protecting those individual rights. These were the principles that caused America to become the wealthiest and the strongest country on earth. And it's the reason why for so many decades, so many people all around the world have wanted to leave their own countries and come and be an American citizen instead. But unfortunately, the tide is changing. Based on objective metrics, the United States is slowly but surely losing its freedom. And when you rank the United States versus other countries around the world on objective metrics like rule of law, government size, regulatory efficiency, and open markets, the United States is less free today than it has been in decades. But the first question that we need to ask is, does freedom really matter? Yes, the United States was founded on those principles, and yes, the United States became extremely wealthy and the strongest nation on earth, but was it the freedom that did that? And does a lack of freedom actually matter? Well, heritage.org has measured economic freedom on these four categories: rule of law, government size, regulatory efficiency, and open markets, and graded each of these categories, which gives each country a score on a scale of 0 to 100. So let's take a look at the least economically free countries on earth. Coming in last place, we have North Korea with an overall score of 2.9. North Korea scores 0 for open markets, whether we're looking at trade freedom, financial freedom, investment freedom. They also score 0 for government size and almost 0 for their regulatory efficiency, and they at least have a score for rule of law, although it is very low. These scores come in because they effectively have no tax system. The state sets production levels for most products. The state regulates the economy through central planning, and trade and investment flows are controlled 100% by the government. So certainly in this extreme example, a complete lack of economic freedom certainly matters. But we don't have to stick with last place. We can look at some of the countries that still rank under 50 in the category of repressed, though they're higher up on the list. We see countries like Haiti, Liberia, Pakistan, Lebanon, Iran, Zimbabwe, and Sudan. There's a direct correlation here that we see that the countries that have the most top-down control, the biggest burden of a large government, poor rule of law, very little business freedom. These are all things that make a country extremely poor, increase violence, and turn that nation into a place that its people want to flee rather than a place that people are flocking to. By the way, I need to let you guys know I am very soon going to be launching a brand new course in my membership program, Heresy Financial University. It's about retirement accounts. It's all about retirement accounts. So if you're somebody who's been avoiding planning for retirement or using a retirement account, or you're just ignorantly throwing in your money to whatever account your employer has, this course is going to teach you all about exactly all the different types of retirement accounts out there are there, what types are available to you, what you can do with them, how to use them most effectively, and once you finish it, what you'll be able to come away with basically is knowing how to use them so that you'll have more money in retirement without ever changing how much you're actually contributing. If you use them correctly and move between Roth and traditional and use the right type of accounts and invest the ones that have the right investment options available to you, just doing that alone can optimize and maximize how much you have in retirement without even looking at how much you're contributing. And so I want to get people informed about how these accounts work. work because it seems a little bit complicated at first. A couple of hours, you'll be able to maximize how much you have in your retirement. So that's brand new course launching very soon. It's coming soon in my membership program, Heresy Financial University, where you get access to that and every other course in my training library. It's like Netflix for financial education. Link is in the description below. So a lack of freedom certainly contributes to national poverty. There is a strong correlation at least. So let's take a look at the other side of the spectrum and take a look at the freest countries on earth. And at the end, I'm going to show you where the United States ranks on this list. Because most people, and I would guess specifically most people who lean more towards desiring socialist or even communist economic policies, would think that there is far too much freedom in the United States and that we need more government, need more top-down control, need to clamp down on some of these free markets and capitalism. And I bet to those people, it'll be a shock to see just how far down the list the United States has fallen. Coming in first place, and this is a multi-year record here, is the country of Singapore. The composite score of property rights, the tax burden from the government, labor freedom, trade freedom, and all of the other things that get scored by heritage.org, Singapore arrives with an overall score of 83.9. Their GDP per capita is $116,000 with a population of only 5.5 million. Now, Singapore continually comes up at the top or near the top of this list year after year after year. And even though their overall score has fallen in the last couple of years, they still hit the top of the list. One of the richest nations on earth, and even though they have absolutely no natural resources, it's their commitment to freedom, especially economic freedom, that has contributed to so much prosperity and why so many people now, especially the wealthy, want to go there. Coming in at number 2, we are going to see Switzerland. Switzerland has a GDP of 78,000, which is significantly lower than Singapore's was per capita, but they have an overall score of 83.8. And unlike Singapore, Switzerland has actually been increasing in their total economic freedom score over the past couple of years. Now, they're not quite enough to make it to that number 1 spot. If the two countries continue on their trend, eventually Singapore will be displaced from its top position by Switzerland, gaining that coveted title of the most economically free nation on earth. Coming in at number 3, we have a country that may be surprising to some people, Ireland, with a composite score of 82. With a population of only 5 million, they have a stunning $112,000 per capita of GDP. They have a fantastically low public debt ratio of only 55%. And though their score hasn't significantly increased over the last couple of years, they have had a very steady rise over the past 5 or so. Now, coming in 4th place, we have another country that may come as a shock to people, which is Taiwan. Overall score of 80.7 brings Taiwan to the 4th most economically free nation on earth. Now, we need to talk about the elephant in the room on this whole Taiwan thing, because this list specifically that ranks all the nations on earth used to rank another country that you may be thinking of now that we're looking at Taiwan. We used to see Hong Kong on this list. And in fact, Hong Kong is nowhere on this list anymore. And Hong Kong used to be near the top of the list, ranked among the countries that qualified as economically free with a score over 80. But as a result of what happened a few years ago with the relationship between China and Hong Kong changing, to put it lightly, it's no longer ranked as its own individual nation. And we could very easily see a very similar thing happen to Taiwan. Now, over the last couple of years, the composite score of all of the nations averaged together on Earth has been declining. This means that unfortunately, there are only 4 nations on Earth right now that classify as being economically free: Singapore, Switzerland, Ireland, and Taiwan. By this index's measurements, you need to have a score of 80 or higher of all of the measurements compiled together in order to qualify as free. And it's unfortunate, but today only 4 countries qualify. And obviously the United States is not in there. But the next category of countries are countries that qualify as mostly free. These are countries that get a score in between 70 and 80. And there are quite a few countries in that bucket, thankfully. Now, if you yet do not know where the United States ranks on this list, I would love it if you could pause the video and make a guess in the comments, because I would love to see where people think the United States lands on this list. Obviously, we know it's not in the bottom half of the countries that we just took a look at the beginning. We know it's not in the top 4 most economically free. And so if you have a guess what rank the United States has among all countries on Earth, please leave your guess in the comment section below. And now what we're gonna do is we're gonna do a quick sprint through countries order by order, starting right after Taiwan at the number 5th spot. And we're gonna go until we can find the United States. New Zealand comes in at number 5. Estonia is number 6. Luxembourg number 7. The Netherlands number 8. Denmark number 9. Sweden number 10. Man, I sure would love to get some of that Scandinavian socialism I hear all about over here in the United States, because apparently it pushes you up to the top of the list of economic freedom. Who would have thought? We got Finland at number 11, Norway number 12, Australia number 13, number 14 is Germany, 15 South Korea, 16 is Canada. That's right, folks, our neighbor to the north, Canada. Based off of these objective measurements of rule of law, government size, property rights, business freedom, Canada ranks above the United States. Latvia comes in at 17, Cyprus at 18, Iceland at 19, Lithuania at 20. You heard that right. We have gotten all the way to 20 and we still haven't seen the United States. Now keep in mind, I've been making videos about this index for about 3 years now. About 3 or 4 years ago, the United States was in the top 20. In fact, just a couple of years ago, the United States was ranked like 15th or 16th, which isn't great, but we've dropped far. The Czech Republic comes in at 21. That's right, the Czech Republic, a nation that was under communist rule until 1989. Today is more economically free than the United States of America. Number 22 is Chile, 23 is Austria, 24 is the United Arab Emirates, and I bet you that fooled you there because you saw the word United and you thought, oh man, we're there, we finally made it on the list, but no, that's the UAE, not the USA. But let's go one farther and then we find in rank number 25, finally we get to the United States. Now, like I mentioned a few moments ago, the United States, even just a couple of years ago, was ranking in the 15-16 ranking on the global freedom list. And over the last couple of years since then, the freedom economically in the United States has been on a swift decline. And yes, it's true that in the same last couple of years, the overall score for the entire world has also been on the decline, but the United States has been falling faster. And in fact, in 2023, we are at the lowest score of economic freedom since this index started to measure economic freedom in 1995. Over the course of history, empires have risen and empires have fallen. The Ottoman Empire is no more. Rome today is just a city. The Greek Empire has been reduced to a bankrupt nation, although they still do have some amazing food. The Assyrian Empire, the Babylonian Empire, the British Empire, the list goes on. And as a nation, when you are founded on principles that allow you to become the richest nation on earth and the strongest nation the earth has ever seen, when you start to chip away at that very foundation, it's no wonder that you start to see that empire crumble. As a final note, many people may think, well, America is still on top of the heap, globally speaking. And so since we're on top, it seems like we're always going to be on top. We've faced hard problems in the past and we've always found a way through it. But direction matters more than rank. What does that mean? Let's say you know somebody who is an alcoholic and they drink a 6-pack every night. You may look at that rank of 6 beers per night and think, man, that guy's doing terrible. But you don't see that he used to drink a 12-pack every night, and he's been slowly reducing the amount of alcohol that he consumes over the past couple of months. His direction is facing the right way. In a couple months from now, he may only drink 1 a night, and a couple months after that, maybe he'll be sober. Eventually, he'll be far beyond the person who binge drinks on the weekend. Direction matters more than rank. And we do have a lot of things working against us, especially things like fiscal policy, the size of the government, corruption, cronyism, the regulatory burden, debt, interest rates, central planning through monetary policy. All these things are working against the success and the liberty of American citizens. But there are also things that could change this direction. These are not set in stone. I just made a video recently about the Supreme Court and how they are slowly but surely bringing power back to the people and limiting what the government can do. These are things that, if enough of them pile up, could turn the direction around. We could start heading back in the right way. So nothing is set in stone, but we do have a lot of work ahead of us. As always, really appreciate you guys. Thanks so much for watching. Have a great day.